Now we're going to talk to Alex Wilson, Reform UK's London Assembly member. He's been on this show regularly in the past because he's one of those questioning Sadiq Khan about a great many things. Here he is yesterday questioning Sadiq Khan, not on rape gangs, but on knife crime.
The year's only just begun, and already we've seen at least 9 major stabbing incidents on our streets. On the 1st of January, 25-year-old man stabbed on Oxford Street. 5th of January, double stabbing on Kilburn High Road. 6th of January, 18-year-old man stabbed on Prince Imperial Road. 7th of January, we know the tragic murder of Kellyanne Bacassa, stabbed in broad daylight on a bus. Also, 7th of January, reports of stabbing in Mile End. 11th of January, stabbing and 2 shootings in Homerton. 13th of January, father of 2, Gregory Castillo Volquez, stabbed to death in Haringey. And on the 14th of January, stabbing outside City and Islington College and also on Ilford High Road. My team has been working on a budget amendment where we would like to fund almost 1,000 police officers to deliver a targeted knife crime task force. And the way we do this is reduce the cost of your staff budget back to 2016 levels. That would give us the funding to do this. Now, obviously, I can't table that as a budget amendment on my own. I need support from other groups. Would you encourage members of other groups, perhaps your own group in the Labour Party, perhaps the Conservatives, perhaps anybody, to second that amendment so that it can be discussed and debated in full next week at the budget meeting?
As a rule of thumb, I never encourage anyone to work with Reform.
I never encourage anyone to work with Reform, despite the fact that Alex made a perfectly good point, listing all of the terrible stabbings that have happened even just in this first part of January. Absolutely extraordinary, isn't it? Alex is with us. Alex, very good morning to you.
Morning, Mike. Thanks for inviting me back.
Not at all. Sadiq Khan gets more and more arrogant with every single week that goes by. We already played out this morning the clip of him talking to Susan Hall, trying to bait her and make her say that it was a Pakistani grooming gang that she was asking a question about, when in fact she was simply asking whether there were any grooming gang activities in London. He didn't answer that question. I can't believe he said what he just said to you. He doesn't encourage anyone to work with Reform. What sort of a maniac is he?
I know, it's shocking, because on previous occasions, when I asked him about something else, the last Mayor's Question Time, he suggested that perhaps I should try and use the budget process to come up with an amendment to deal with the particular point that I was quizzing him on. So I thought, great, I'll take your advice, Mr. Mayor, and I will do exactly that. So this follows on from, when I was on the show last week, we were talking about the letter that me and Richard Tice, our Deputy Leader, had sent to Sadiq, asking him to declare a public order emergency and take extraordinary steps to really try and get on top of this knife crime crisis, and through stop and search, through more police presence, weapon streets, sweeps, etc. But this follows on from that. We've actually now found a way of funding exactly this targeted knife crime task force, which will be up to almost 1,000 officers, and the way we do it is by cutting back the Mayor's staffing budget to 2016 levels. Nobody complained in 2016, at least I can't remember anyone complaining in 2016 that Boris didn't have enough staff when he was Mayor and when he left office. Yet since then, Sadiq's headcount in City Hall has doubled and the cost has trebled. So use that money to put that back into frontline policing, particularly to target knife crime, so we can do things like more stop and search, more weapon sweeps, and just a general increased police presence in those key areas where we're seeing these stabbings. Because we've seen already this year at least nine major stabbing incidents. That's one every other day. Business as usual isn't working. That's why I put this forward. And all I was asking yesterday, I wasn't necessarily asking him to actually support my plan. I just wanted him to encourage other members to second the amendment so it could get debated. Because the way things work in the Assembly, you need a proposer and a seconder. I'm a single member on my own. I need support from other groups. That's all I was asking for. Get it on the table. Then we can discuss it. Then we can debate it. And then see if it's acceptable after that.
So he's effectively shutting down debate. Doesn't want you to take part in anything because he doesn't want anybody to have anything to do with Reform. He doesn't appreciate or accept the democratic will of the people who have put you there because they voted for you.
Absolutely. I respect the fact that he won his election fair and square and he has a right and a mandate to do what he's doing. But at the same time, the Assembly is elected at the same time as the Mayor, and our principal job is to hold him to account and make other suggestions. So I have a mandate to do what I'm doing as well. It's a shame he doesn't respect that.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, as far as the movement of legislation, if you like, on knife crime, knife crime seems to be getting worse. We saw a piece of footage yesterday from, I think it was the Young Offenders Institution in Feltham, which is again part of the London Assembly's region, I would say. 2 guys there fighting with zombie knives, which was recorded back end of last year, there was supposed to be a zombie knife amnesty of some kind, wasn't there, at the end of last year as well? It doesn't appear to have made any difference whatsoever to the level of violence out there.
No, well, it's shocking. Well, to be fair, credit where it's due, the government, I believe, has now banned zombie knives, so at least that may well help. But no, it's
well,
terrifying.
they banned them, but they won't help because you can still get them. I mean, how has that made any difference?
Yeah, and you need to have the enforcement out there to catch these things and stop the sales and find them where they're being hidden, where they're being stashed, and get them off the streets. And that's it. The most important thing is to get these weapons off the streets, and that's what we want to try and do. Yeah,
absolutely right. Alex, we're good to talk to you, and thank you very much for coming on. Alex Wilson, Reform UK's London Assembly member. Absolutely shocking state of affairs, where Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, has actually said, and he's not even embarrassed to say it, which tells you an awful lot about the man. He's not even embarrassed to say, I'm not going to have anybody talk to Reform. I'm not going to encourage anyone to work with Reform. Reform are a democratically elected political party who have got 5 MPs in the House of Commons. They've got 1 member in the London Assembly. And he is so arrogant that he's going to tell people not to work with them. That's extraordinary, isn't it? Absolutely unbelievable.